GTT.
Not sure if your audio sounds professional? A Soundcheck by George the Tech removes all doubts and explains the next steps. Audiobooks, podcasts, or voiceovers. For content creators, we do it all. New customers get 20% off with coupon code XPTO.
George the Tech.
The sound you send out is either going to make you or ruin your career. I've seen people, friends of mine, okay, have gotten a big agent and for 2 years didn't book one thing. And I knew they were great. And so finally, one of my buddies says, Chuck, I'm not booking anything. Can you listen to my last few auditions and tell me if it's me or if, and I said, yeah, send me their last 3 auditions. I listened to them and great reads, but raw audio. You know, that's like somebody going outside of the house naked.
George the Tech.
Hey, everybody, it's George the Tech. We have been cruising on all of our great trusted partner profile videos. And at long last, I finally got this man's attention because he is busy and he's got a great life. And he's just such an entertaining, educating, and consummate professional when it comes to the field of producing voiceover demos and getting the best performances out of people. And also, like I said, just being a great entertainer as well. And without further ado, let me introduce you today to Chuck Duran. How you doing, Chuck?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks, George. Wow, what a great intro, man. I think I'm gonna use that intro for all of my videos. George introducing me.
Practice makes perfect. You know, I've been doing a lot of these lately, and
I know, man.
I'm in the flow, and it's a lot of fun to do because I'm getting to learn so much about all of my friends and colleagues and in the business in a way that I never did before. And you know, you and I have known each other quite a long time. We've been in this business together forever. We have so many mutual connections and friends and all this. But I guarantee you, I'm going to learn something about you today. And
That's cool.
That's what
and
I'm
I will
excited
learn
about.
something about you, man.
Yeah, Mike, it could happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, fans of yours are going to go, yeah. We've heard about Chuck before. We know Chuck. We love Chuck. But it's okay. I want to get back to a little bit of origin story. This is just, you got to always go back to where it started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to make an assumption then, and you're going to fill in the blanks. You started in music.
Yeah. Good assumption. And yes.
Just like so many of us in engineering and audio production started in music and then transitioned.
Yeah. Well,
So
it really started with the hair, George.
yeah.
You know? And then after the hair came the music, see?
Right, exactly. So did music start for you at a young age? Were you playing in bands growing up? Was that just like the norm for you for a long time?
Yeah, I started, I mean, this is kind of funny, but like when I was a little kid, I was listening to the radio and I heard this song by Peter Frampton called Do You Feel Like I Do?
Oh,
Right?
man. Wow.
Which, you know, Frampton Comes Alive. It was the live album. I didn't even know who Peter Frampton was. But
this is with the talk box, right?
Yes. And so I'm hearing this guitar talking and doing, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying, oh, what is that? And it literally captured my entire world. And I had to investigate and see what I did and see how that would work. So I had a buddy of mine who had this little cheapy, you know, Kmart special guitar, and I bought it from him. Like he couldn't say no because I gave him probably more money than he paid for it, right? With a little amp. And all I would do is go inside my room and just make noise. And my parents actually supported that.
That's awesome.
Looking back, I'm like, man, my parents were so freaking cool because all I was doing was making noise. But I had this thing inside where I can figure notes out. And I started figuring these notes out from, you know, songs and going, oh, wow, this is so cool, right?
You have an ear.
Yeah. And so that's really how it started. And so, you know, from a young age, I was playing in bands and, you know, those times when I first started, I was living in Florida, right? I grew up here. And then I moved, when I was 13, I moved to Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
And my sister had moved there with her husband. She's like 12 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, because I'm reading all these magazines that say, if you want to be a rock star, you got to go to L.A., right?
Dude, you landed in L.A. at 13. You must have been like eyes on, saucer eyes.
George, when I landed, before I landed, when the plane was going in and I saw all the lights, this was nighttime, and I just looked through my little window, man, I was like, I was mesmerized.
You see lights for like 15 minutes on the approach, right?
Yes, yes.
It's like, when does the city end and begin?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they picked me up, and they lived in the valley in Van Nuys, so we're going over the 405, and when they goes over and you see the valley, I was like, my brother-in-law says to me, see that little light way down there? And you couldn't see it. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's where we live. He's pointing at Van Nuys, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just felt like I was home. It just felt so exciting. And so immediately I started wanting to look for a band. Because that's where I came to LA for. So I immediately started doing that. And, in school, asking everybody, hey, do you know anybody who sings, a really great singer, And that's how I met Jess Harnell.
Are you kidding me? That's how far back you guys go?
Yeah. So that's how I met
God.
Jess Harnell. And, and it was so funny because everybody used to tell me, dude, you can't hang out with that guy. He's like on drugs, And
Obviously.
I'm like, really? And no. But Jess has never drank.
No, I know.
Never done a
That's the
drug.
thing. Some of the most creative, inspirational, highly skilled musicians in history. Frank Zappa, no drugs.
Yeah.
Like, just it comes down from on high, man. Or it's
Totally.
whatever. It's ADHD or something. I don't know where it comes from.
It was something like that. So everybody said, "Oh yeah, man, he's on speed and all that," because he was always like nutty and crazy and. And so we met, a mutual friend introduced us and we exchanged numbers and he never called me, So I'm like, God, why didn't you call me? So I saw him, a week later and I'm like, hey man, you didn't call me. Oh dude, I totally lost your number. Let me have it again. So I gave him my number again and he didn't call me. So finally, I just said, you know what? I'm calling this dude. So I called him. He answered. He goes, hello? I go, is this Jess? And he goes, yeah. I go, hold on a second. Listen to this. And I put the phone down and I started jamming out on my guitar. And then all of a sudden, he was like, oh my God, dude, that's so freaking awesome, man.
That's like Back to the Future. He's like, hey, man, listen to this. And he holds the phone up.
He goes, all right, check this out. Hold on. And he puts on Led Zeppelin, Achilles' Last Stand or whatever. And he starts, rocking out. And singing along the record. I'm like, whoa, this guy is really good. That's how our friendship started. Like ever since that one little phone call right there, we've been like this, inseparable.
Awesome.
Yeah, and been in many bands and now toured all over the world and just done all kinds of crazy stuff. And by the way, that's what got me into voiceover as well.
Was he did he dip his toe in voiceover before you? Is that what happened?
Yes. So Jess used to do, while we were in bands and stuff like that. Later on, he started doing a lot of session singing, singing musicals and things like that. And I did that too. But then he started getting into voiceover because, he did so many voices and stuff. And so people started like hiring him to do voice stuff. And he actually got the audition to replace the voice of Roger Rabbit. We're talking long time ago, right? And he's like, oh man, I got to audition for this. I remember going with him. We went to Blockbuster and got the freaking Roger Rabbit movie, and he's practicing for a week. Went for the audition at Disney. He got the job.
Man.
You know what I mean? So that's his first giant voiceover job. And all of a sudden Disney say, hey, you got the job. Do you have an agent? No. Well, we can't pay you without one. Here's the top 3 agencies in town. Go meet with them and pick one.
Oh my gosh. What a time. What a time.
Exactly. Right. So that's exactly how it went down. And of course, he met with the 3 biggest and then he came back to me because they all said, you're going to need this was for animation. You're going to need an animation demo. So I was like, oh, all right. So he comes to me and he goes, dude, you got to help me make an animation demo. And I'm like, what is that? Right. So he asked one of the big agents, hey, can you send me 3 animation demos that you feel are like just stellar? So I know
Good
what
for him. Smart.
I'm supposed to do. And they go, yeah, sure. I'll send you 3 of my favorites. And he played those for me. And I was like, wow, these sound horrible. Right? Because the bar there was no bar.
There was no bar. And you're
was no
like, you're
bar.
listening to these going like, oh, I know I can, I'm not sure. I know I can do better. I'm just going to have to figure out what it is that I have to
I
do.
won't be able to do that, but I think I could do better than that. And so I
Nice.
just looked at it as like a record project, right?
Yeah.
So we made an animation demo, and then he sent it to. I'm not going to say any agent names because these are big agents that are still around
Sure.
right now.
Sure.
And his agent literally just said, "Holy Toledo, this is the best animation demo I have ever heard. Who produced this?" And of course, Jess just said, "That's my friend Chuck Duran. He's the best."
Awesome.
Those
The
were
way
his
you guys
words.
build each other up like that.
Yeah,
I mean, that is so
but
huge.
see, but that's how it always is. And even now, man, when people ask me about, hey, I need help with my audio, this, blah, 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 who do I call? I'm like, George Whittam, he's the best.
Thanks,
And no other, and listen, I know other guys, but see, I know what you do, George, and I know how you do it, and I know the passion that you have for what you do, and I know that you don't do stuff half-assed, you know what I mean? When you do something for somebody, it's like that person becomes like the most important thing on the planet that you're working on right there.
That is
and
true.
that goes into it. So when I hear it back and they play from, hey, this is what George did for me, I'm always like, this is freaking perfect. It's excellent. It's exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah, and once in a while it's not, and you give notes, and we make it a little revision, and we send it back. It's rare,
I think that's only happened like one time, George.
but it happens.
And then you said, damn it, it's because I didn't have my Rhythmaster headphones.
Yes, that was the time I traveled, and I only brought my consumer Bluetooth headphones, which
Yeah.
were boosting, I think, the bass like way too much. It was all messed up.
It was not a George Whittam thing. So that's why I said, wait a minute, tell George this is not it. I'm hearing this. And then you're like, damn it, I should have known better. And then you fixed it, and then it was there. But just to show, to the people out there, man, that when you're talking about, audio and quality, it's important. I can hear it. You can hear it. People that don't know anything about it can hear it. They know what sounds good and what sounds not so good,
Yeah, they don't know why it sounds good or not sounds good, but they just know it doesn't sound good.
Exactly. And I've had people lose many of jobs because their sound was not sweetened at all. They were just sending out raw audio.
Or the mic technique is off.
My technique is off.
416s are tricky. Like it seems simple. Point the mic at your mouth. But it's not necessarily that straightforward as an actor when you have to be focused on script and then trusting the mic is in the right spot. It's sort of like filming yourself and knowing that you're in frame. How many times have you set up an iPhone on a tripod or something?
Oh, man.
You're shooting on the front, on the back camera, so you can't see the screen. And then you're like, am I in the frame? And and then you hit record, you come over, you come back. Oh, crap, I didn't hit record or isn't.
Yeah.
That's how it is to record your voiceover every day, because you have to get all that squared away.
Too much space, too much head space, too much space above my head. You're like filming and you're like this when you should be like this, right? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but I know with audio, you're removing the video element, but it just makes the audio element. It's everything, right? It's 100%. So you really have to pay extra attention to it, and it's not always obvious, right? That's why we're here to give you the advice we give you.
Well, thank you for what you do, buddy. We all appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, I know you have built just an incredible client base doing this. And, years and years ago, I'd known you already, but you definitely earned the next notch of like props because years and years ago, Dan and I on VOBS, it might even been EWABS. That's all.
It was EWAPs.
Yeah, we did this thing called the Demolition.
Yeah.
And we did a shootout of demos. It was a blind. We knew who the talent was, but we didn't know who the producers were. And we listened to them all. We had I think Uncle Roy was on that thing. We had a bunch of us, and we were all listening and thinking and evaluating. I think Cliv Zellman was on that. And at the end, we literally voted. We all just like discussed what we thought were the best ones. And in the very end, we picked a winner, which is not something we would normally do,
Mm-hmm.
And it was your demo. And I remember at the time thinking the reason it worked so well because the word that still comes to mind is it sounded familiar. That may not sound sexy or anything. Like, it's not like, it sounds like rock and roll. No, it just sounded familiar. Like when you heard the voice in the mix and the production, all of the things, it sounded real. It just sounded real. It just sounded like it just came right off the television commercial or something, and that was what made it a winner, and that's how I was like, oh, this is the real deal here.
Yeah, well, thank you, man, because literally that's how, remember when I started, I looked at demos as like a record,
Yeah.
Because there was no bar, So I feel that, since those days, the bar has been, lifted many, many times. And so when I produce a demo nowadays, I'm still using the same technique, which is what's happening out there right now,
Yeah.
because production styles change as well, right? So you got to know not just where the industry's at, types of reads and styles and vibes and all that stuff, but also like audio wise, where are things at? And I really try to bring all that in so things don't start sounding dated,
Absolutely.
Sometimes I do a session or I'm gonna, working with maybe a new guy who's been in radio and all his gear is all tweaked out for that radio sound.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not gonna work. I mean, we gotta like just eliminate pretty much everything that you have and just go microphone, preamp, done.
Yeah, because if you want to sound like you're on a local radio station, is that your end goal? All right. Because that
Exactly.
ain't working for national commercials, I can tell you that.
No. And people don't realize that today you don't need to have 5,000 toys. Less is more. If you want to put in a little something here, a little something there, you can do that with a plug-in. You don't need like outboard gear from 1974, compressors and limiters and de-essers and stuff like that.
Clean.
Everything is so simple, just like what you do when I send somebody to you for you to create an audio template for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm so adamant about people doing this that I work with, not for the demo but for after the demo, because what the sound you send out is either going to make you or ruin your career. I've seen people, friends of mine, okay, who have gotten a big agent and for 2 years didn't book one thing. And I knew they were great, right? And they had all these amazing demos. For 2 years, didn't book anything. And so finally, one of my buddies says, Chuck, so man, I'm like, I don't know what to do here, man. I'm auditioning like crazy. I'm not booking anything. Can you listen to my last few auditions and tell me if it's me or if, or what you hear or whatever, are my reads that bad? And I said, yeah, send me their last 3 auditions. I listened to them and great reads, but raw audio. That's like somebody going outside of the house naked. You're going to get arrested. Things are not going to work out for you, right? And so he's sending out naked audio and I'm like, dude, we got to fix you up. So I believe he was one of the guys that went to you. You fixed him up. You did an audio template for him or a stack or something for Twisted Wave or whatever it was. And all of a sudden, and this is not even a lie, man, all of a sudden, boom, he starts booking. 3 years later, he was able to quit his job, bought a $1.5 million house up in the hills of freaking wherever in California. I mean, that's his life now. But 2 years of booking zero, and then all of a sudden, so that's why when I talk passionately about the audio that you send out is so important. I don't care how great you are, because when it comes down to the job, and maybe it's like between you and 2 other guys or 2 other gals, right? If you're a woman, and maybe it comes down to 3 of you. Well, maybe at that point, the client picks. Out of all the ones that the casting director, swindled it down to like 3, and then the client picks, and the client doesn't know anything about audio, so they just go, this one sounds the best.
Yeah.
It's clear, I can hear it, I can hear the words, you know what I mean? I don't have to try hard, I want that one.
It's the tiebreaker.
There you go. So if your audio is not good, or you kind of sound like this when you're doing your auditions,
Or you sound like this, because you want to sound like you're on the radio.
or like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to work, man. So take the time. This is like one of those things that it's like that you can control and it will help you like you don't even know.
I wish I had statistics on how many times I've heard those words that, once I started doing that kind of the right processing, I was starting to book. But, it's a part of the equation. But of course, every time I hear your audio, I'm going to be evaluating your mic technique. I'm going to be evaluating your acoustics. All these things I'm going to be evaluating. And if those aren't right, I won't even touch your audio. I'm going to kick it back immediately and say, fix those things first. Like I'm very adamant about that. I started telling people, like, I have a thing called a sound check where I just listen to and give feedback like you're doing. But I say, listen, every time you send me audio to get a magic preset, I'm going to sound check you. I'm going to tell you if the audio is workable. I'm not going to try to polish bad mic technique with the processing preset, So tell me one quick thing, and then I want to talk about Stacy. But tell me one quick thing about what you feel is on trend that you're noticing over the last year or so in terms of the way commercials. Let's just talk about commercial. How is commercial trending in production changed that you've noticed?
Well, I mean, commercials are still like, if you watch the Super Bowl and you look at some of these commercials, I mean, they're outrageous.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of production. So I don't think that the production on commercials has actually laxed. Maybe radio. Maybe it's laxed a little bit, but on TV, there's a lot of stuff going on because they need it to be entertaining and fun and funny in order to capture your attention. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's not just one little piece of music and then the actor. There's a lot of things going on. So I've noticed that one of the things that has changed from the production stand is that there's a story here, and the production needs to be a part of the story. It's not just a bed of music and then the actor, the voice actor. You know what I mean? There's a story. And if you can be a part of that story with your production and the music, the little vibe of the music, whether the music's a little bit more ducked or a little bit more present, maybe a sound effects because things are popping out in the screen, sound design. There's a lot of sound design on these commercials nowadays. Something pops up and you're going to hear a little whoosh, or you're going to hear a little something or a little ding or a door or a car or whatever.
Even the news, some of the news networks are starting to put in sound.
Exactly.
I know, I'm just like, what is going on here?
Yeah. So that stuff has actually gotten, I think, more exciting, but you just need to know how to tastefully apply these things so they don't override what it is that you're selling, which is the actor on a demo.
It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So we've talked a lot about production technique, engineering. We can even talk a little about your studio, but you have another half, a better half, a team member, a compadre, a partner who clearly is a very big part of what you do. And Stacy Oswald, she's incredibly talented. And tell me just briefly how she fits into your life. I mean, she fits into so many different ways.
She fits into my life perfectly. Stacy's amazing, man. From the day that I met her, I remember the day that I met her and she walked through my studio doors, and we had a little conversation, and I was just like, wow, what an amazing freaking human being, full of life, intelligent, knew what she wants. She's a go-getter, man. I mean, and I felt in love with the person. You know what I mean? It wasn't just the fact that she's got, amazing hair and she's hot, and all that stuff. I was just like, what an amazing person. Yeah. So we became really, really good friends for a couple of years, like just friends. And then after that, things, took on a different thing and all that. But Stacy is very talented in many areas. Not only is she a great voice actor, but she's, remember, this girl went to Juilliard, right? And the whole class of dance for Juilliard, there was only 28 people. And by the time graduation came, only 13 of those 28 people survived, right? So she graduated. She's one of 13 out of 28. And because she doesn't fail. You know what I mean? That's the thing. And she doesn't make stuff up, but she's kind of like you and I. You know, we investigate, we find out where things are at, and we always want to be, man, like in the pocket of where things are at. We don't want to become dated. You know what I mean? And so she does that. She's a great we have all these little animals, and I see her interacting with our animals, and it's like watching Noah. You know what I mean? Like the animals just follow her around, and she's like their world. I mean, it's like she's got these magic powers. You know what I mean? And it's because of love. You know, she is so just engulfed in she's a big freaking ball of love, and so everything is attracted to her. You know. But from a business perspective, she writes all of the scripts for all of the demos that we do, And when she started out, she wasn't a copywriter.
I bet a lot of you didn't know that. First of all, I bet a lot of you didn't know that the scripts for these demos are written, custom written. They're not
100%.
They're not scripts off of a cereal box.
No.
They're not lifted off of a magazine ad.
No. And here's the important thing about that, right? So you have to take a product, all right? Let's say I'm producing a demo for George Whittam, right? And you're doing a product. And we have to take that product and create an original script, that wasn't just stolen, in the style of how that product would brand itself. So it can't be so far out that the brand would hear it and go like, oh my God, we would never do a commercial like that. In fact, what we'd want them to do is say, did we do that?
Exactly.
No, we didn't. Why? Why didn't?
That's exactly. I mean, that would be the highest compliment you could ever be paid, right?
Exactly. So she, like I said, she became so good at it because she investigates and does research. And now, man, she's freaking like anytime that she's finished a package for a new client, for a new demo, we always sit down and she'll read me everything and run everything by me according to the specs that, I sat down with the client and all that stuff, and to make sure that it really, really matches the person, right? And I used to have little changes here and there. Hey, how about we change this, say that, blah, blah, change that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then now she reads them back to me and I'm just like,
okay, moving on.
If I was like, at an advertising agency and you pitched it to me, I'd be like, I'll take it. That's it. That's what we want. And so, I know that I'm bragging hard on her, but it's because she deserves it. So from a voice actor to all her stuff that she does, as an entertainer, to copywriting, to being a host. A lot of people don't know that she was, the host at Disney for like over 10 or 15 years, with a few Disney shows. And it was cool because one of the times when I was touring, with my rock band, I stayed at a place near Disney and turned on the TV, and the first thing that pops up was Stacy. Hi, I'm going to walk you through the Disney's must-dos. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's my girl. And it was just great, but it's like that gig was only supposed to be for 1 year.
Whoa.
Disney kept her for 15.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're so great at something that just people it's undeniable, people want to keep you around, man.
That, as much more than anybody how fickle voice acting, the business of voice acting could be, how few of the voice work jobs, and some of the best paid jobs, are totally off contract, right? They have no contract. You're only as good as your last gig. You could be replaced at any time. If you can't be there, if you can't show up, if your gear's not working, if you're sick. I talk to my clients, they work through being sick sometimes, and they do everything in their power to not draw attention to the fact that they're sick. It's a crazy amount of pressure at times.
Yeah. It is.
It's wild.
And one thing that, that maybe we can touch on, because I think it's really cool, is, the business changing. You know what I mean? Our business has changed, but people always.
Multiple changes, right? You've got like the home studio revolution. Mm-hmm. You've got the COVID home studio revolution.
Yes.
Now we have the AI revolution, right? So
yeah. But I mean, I remember, because I've been in the industry for a gazillion years. So, and I've changed through the times, I know some people that haven't, We don't know about them anymore, right? We don't hear about those people. You have to change through the times. And always, you have to embrace the trends of where things are at. Embrace them. They're not going to be that forever. They're definitely going to change at some point again, but you need to know when they're changing and why they're changing and how you can now become a part of that change if you want to still be relevant.
Yeah. And you don't have to like them.
And you don't have to like them. Because, people say, oh, well, my voice is, perfect for this, and that. And I'm like, great. But is that even marketable right now? The better question is, the market is going to require this of me. Can I do that?
That's right.
And you can make money.
Would you have ever predicted that they would choose a voice for a fast food brand who, in my humble opinion, literally mumbles the brand? Do you know what brand I'm talking about?
Tell me, because I think there's a few of them like that.
It's McDonald's.
Okay.
And so at the end of the commercial, it's a celebrity actor.
Yeah, of course.
And he says, McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's.
It's like the most undersold,
yeah,
laziest pronunciation of the word McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it's like the most underperformed thing ever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who would have? I mean, that's what you're talking about here, like these crazy trends, right?
Totally. And you have sandwich shops that and at the end they got blah blah sandwich, and they say sandwich, not sandwich, but sandwich, and it's like because they want to be relatable and they want to do whatever, and that's exactly. I don't know if it's because maybe the director doesn't know, or it's because he's actually going for that. But whatever it is what it is. And we need to know that directors are younger now. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of be, with the times and be hip. And if certain words are cool, or the way you pronounce those words are more, on trend right now, then you have to know that, because that's going to help you when you're auditioning and it'll help you book. But it's so important, George.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love that you guys have that working relationship, you and Stacy, and it's one of these days I'll sit down with her too and give her due too, because that would be
that would be great. She would love that. You'll have fun with her because she's got some good stories, man.
I can only imagine. I want to talk about Disney a little bit with her.
She's got a lot of that. And she'll give you some nitty gritty Disney. Like one time, they weren't honoring her contract, and she just went to her limo and literally locked herself in.
Damn, girl.
At Disney until they brought the freaking contract.
That's awesome. She's a baddie.
Which nobody would do. It'd be like, if you don't sign this, you're gone. And it's like, nope.
Baddie.
I'm not leaving this car. She'll tell you that story. It's pretty neat.
So your voiceover business now is focused, I would say, 100% on the demo production. Is that where you are right now?
Yeah. It's 100% demo, and it's also 100% remote.
Yes.
Because, after, first of all, I was doing remote demos from all over the world way before COVID. So when that came about and they go, oh, you can only be remote, I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been remote.
Exactly, yeah.
It was nothing new for me. But now I literally have just been 100% remote. And the reason why is because, A, it's easier. I can do more, with my time. The talent doesn't have to risk their life getting to a studio and getting into an accident or whatever. I can work with anybody on the planet, no matter where they live, right? The demo is still going to be just as good, but above and beyond that, they get to showcase their studio sound on their demo.
That's right.
Which is so important, and I tell them that this is important. Stacy gets all these auditions, right? And on the top of a lot of these auditions, it says, talent must have broadcast quality studio with Source Connect.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me started about the word broadcast. That's a whole nother. But
no, I know. But that's just what it says.
So we have to interpret what that actually means, right?
Exactly. So agents are like, well, I can't even audition somebody that doesn't have that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a fool, right?
Yeah.
So if the studio, from the client's perspective, the studio is so important that you must have that, why shouldn't you showcase it on your demo?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely appropriate. One of the things that happens in the demo industry portion of voiceover is that, this is some of the negative things that happen, is that an actor will go to, the person's studio, and they will get groomed and coached and massaged, and the product will be edited within an inch of its life, and it'll comp 15 different takes and whatever it takes to get that finished performance, right? And it's not representative of who they are as an actor. It does not representative of what they sound like in their studio. So this is really a far better product, and you're getting to vet their acting performance under the real world pressure of direction.
Yeah.
And you're getting to vet how their actual studio sounds, and do they actually know how to use their stuff? It's all really important.
Exactly. And listen, I've had agents, because I know a lot of them because I've been around for a long time, and they've told me, I signed that guy, but then I dropped him. And I'm like, why did you drop him? They go, well, because he didn't know how to record himself.
Crazy.
He was sending audio in on the auditions with clicks and crackles and pops and, and I said, learn how to record yourself. Okay. Take some classes, work with somebody, learn how to record yourself. And then when you've done that for a few months and you really know how to do it, then come back to me and we'll re-listen. And if you've got that down, then I can, then we can talk about representation again. That's how important it is.
It is the dumbest way to not get booked is because of a technical problem, a technicality.
Totally.
The best way to get not booked is you just weren't the right voice for that particular campaign.
That's the only reason why you should not get a job.
It's the only reason you should not get a job. Right. It's so true.
Absolutely crazy.
Oh my gosh.
So demos, 100%. And now, VO Buzz Weekly, where we used to do all these interviews with everybody in the industry. And then we got to a point where we said, wait a minute, everybody's doing interviews.
Yeah.
Everybody that gets interviews says the same exact thing to every question. So it's like, what's the use? What can we do that nobody's really doing? And so we started showcasing certain clients doing a voiceover demo spotlight, meaning that it's remote, but you get to see the talent in their studio, talk about what they're using, blah, blah. Me and Stacy directing the talent, and getting a little bit of background on the talent and, how they got to there, where they want to go. And then at the very end of that, 30-minute video, you hear their demo done. Completely, 100%, right? So people from all over the world get to hear the bar of what things need to sound like, and what it took to get there. They don't see me posting, although I've had a lot of people saying, Chuck, dude, you should do one where it's you posting the demo, man. I would pay for that one. But it's so great because, you see all this stuff and blah, blah, and the talent flubbing and not getting it right, and us doing maybe 7 takes on something because we didn't like the way the tag was, you know what I mean? Or maybe and you hear that, and then all of a sudden at the end, you hear the finished product and you go like, wow. And it gets people to the point of saying, I can do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect all the time. In fact, I always tell people what you need to be is perfectly imperfect. Right? Because that's what's big right now. Don't be perfect.
Like I just said. McDonald's.
Like you just said.
Saying the name McDonald's.
That's exactly it, George. So the bottom line is, those spotlights are really big. You can check them out on our VO Buzz Weekly channel on YouTube. And also
those are a great idea, by the way. I mean, these are hugely helpful. Is it essentially real time? Like this is, obviously there's a ton of lead up that leads up to this moment, right? I mean, there's all the script writing, and you guys have spent numerous hours leading up to this moment, right? Yeah. So what they're seeing is really the
session,
the final, the big performance, and they're hearing the final mix, right?
Exactly, just before the grand finale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's great because that's when everything else is custom, right, for that individual. When you're recording with somebody, you can watch somebody being directed and recorded on a demo session and learn so much from that, because basically what you see and learn are the same exact things that you would be going through, whether you were in a real session for an actual gig that you booked, whether it was remote or live, or, a professional voiceover demo session. So either or, you get to see exactly what goes on, and you see some great talent that, I've done some with Joe Cipriano, You know what I mean? And some really, really big names in the industry recording their demo, but also some up and comers where people are like, oh man, even the up and comers, yeah. So the common denominator is you got to be good, you know what I mean? But you got to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were working with Joe. Joe's like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I'm like, Joe, you can do anything. I can? Yeah, okay. And then he would do it. And it's like, yeah, I can. And we just had such a blast, recording with him and Bob Bergen, doing his demos. And it was so cool. And by the way, these videos get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views.
For good reason.
Because they're very, very popular, and it's like you actually get some really, really, cool stuff out of them, and we love doing them. I love showcasing talent. I love telling other people how great George is. I love telling agents, casting directors, and other people, whether it's on social media or on a phone call or whatever, how amazing this guy or this gal that I just worked with is.
And this is why Chuck is sitting here right now with us on this series, because I really, really need you guys to know how great Chuck is. I mean, and what he does is phenomenal. It really is. The work speaks for itself. Being able to see how it's done, literally watching the sausage made, these actors willing to be vulnerable and show up on that channel and do that, that's a big deal, Yeah. It's huge.
It is. And, some of the payoff for them is that when they get to showcase that or people see it, agents watch it.
Yeah. It's a visual demo because it's not just showing, look at what I pulled off in a minute-long, beautifully produced thing. It's look at my process. Look at how directable I am. Look at my manner in the booth. That's huge.
But we've had many of talent get representation because of it. The agents have been so impressed with, how these people are, how they conduct themselves, and all that stuff. They're like, I want to sign that person. And they reach out to them and say, hey, can you send me that demo? I want to play it for the team. And they get representation. These are people from all over the world. So we're not talking about just LA or just, wherever. And that's the beauty of our industry right now is that it's global.
Yeah. Truly is global. Truly is, man. I really enjoyed sitting down with you today. I want you guys to find out directly from Chuck where they should go if they're at that point where they're really ready to take getting a voiceover demo taken very seriously and get the best product possible. Where should they go?
They should go to demosthatrock.com. And, I even have people that maybe aren't ready 100% yet, and they reach out to me and I let them know. Because I always, listen to them do something and, I send them some stuff for them to read or whatever, just to assess kind of like where they're at. And I'll tell them, hey, the good news, you got a knack for this, you're a natural, you're not quite ready yet. But if you reach out to so-and-so or so-and-so or so-and-so, they will get you ready. And then after that, I can help you have success.
And our channel here, our trusted partners page on our website, georgethe.tech, is a menu of people that are fantastic coaches in their own right, in their own fields that we trust and vet. And that's why we're all here. We're supporting each other, and all this cream is rising to the top on our website. And that's why Chuck's here today.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for reaching out to me and say, hey, I want to do a little spotlight with you. First of all, when you asked, I was like, absolutely, without a doubt, because I knew that you were doing it for good reasons. I don't have to ever think twice about why George is going to do something, right? The answer is just always yes. But I'm honored. I really, really am, buddy. So thank you so much for thinking of me. And this was, it's always fun hanging out with you, buddy.
You too. We'll have to do it in the flesh. I'm due a trip to Florida. I've got clients in Miami and all over, and they're like, when are you coming? When are you coming? So we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely, dude. We got some fun times over here. You'll love it.
Thanks, Chuck.
You got it, George.
Take care. Give Stacy a big hug and enjoy demo production. Thanks for your time.
I will do, buddy. Good luck to you with everything else as well, all right? Peace. Rock on! Yeah, baby. We'll talk soon.
George the Tech.